Events happen that change our lives. Dealing with change is what we do. We discuss with industry professionals objective solutions to work through cherished items and family memories. When we go beyond the gavel, we provide tools and information to deal with these crisis times. Hello, welcome back to Beyond the Gavel. I'm Shane Feely with Auction Solutions. Today we have a special guest. It's Austin Kramer from Kramer Hymas Jansen Auction Company. He's a second-generation auctioneer, and we are so glad to have him in Omaha today.
Well, thanks for having me, Shane.
You bet. Okay, so we're going to jump right into it because I'm an auctioneer as well, and I love the business. How was it growing up in an auction family?
Well, you know, my dad grew up in the auction, my dad became an auctioneer when he was 16 years old, so he's always been surrounded by the auction industry. And when I was born into going to auctions every weekend and just kind of being around it. And when I was young, I always used to help out with holding stuff up and the lunch stand and such as that. And around age 16, I think I was either a junior in high school, I decided that I wanted to go fully dive into it and become an auctioneer. So the next year, my brother and I went to auction school at the Worldwide College of Auctioneering.
Oh, great. Mason City.
Mason City, Iowa. Great college. That's also where my dad went to school.
Okay.
And yeah, in 2015, we completed the auction school.
That's awesome. Is your brother also an auctioneer?
My brother is also an auctioneer, yep. He's not really going to stick with the field, I think. He's kind of veering down a different path. He actually is a pilot, and he wants to fly with that.
Oh, good for him. Some of my friends, they're young adults, are also flying for jet links and stuff. They are having a ball. Yep. The auction business was not necessarily for my kids either. They didn't think that's what they wanted to do, so they branched out onto other things. What made you stay?
You know, I think it's the people. Auctioneering it's a people profession.
Sure is.
You build relationships with the people that you sell for and the buyers. You know, it's the auctioneer's there, and we create relationships, and I just really enjoy seeing the joy that of a successful auction. You know.
That's great.
And I'm sure you can attest to that as well.
I think so. And one of the things that I really like is the social event. Now, it's not so much in Omaha anymore. An auction can be for a business liquidation, but our estate sales and auctions have changed. But I think in the community that you're in, aren't your auctions extremely well attended, and it's a big social event?
Definitely. I come from the northeast corner of Nebraska up in Hardington, and it's a smaller area, smaller town. Our town has, I think, we have under 2,000 people in there, but at an auction, it's nothing to see over 100 or 200 people there just at a normal auction. And our bigger sales, we could have over 500, 600 numbers out. It's quite a social gathering, you know.
That's great.
And if it was like an estate or somebody that they knew, people know people up there, and it grows, and it's a tight-knit community, and I think that's a big part of it.
Seems like they all support each other very well when there's an auction.
Very supportive, definitely.
Especially if someone has passed or the head of the household has passed and there's no one to take over the farm. And I know they call you for things like that. Let's talk about that kind of a situation.
Actually this past, I think it was a couple weeks ago, we had an estate sale or an estate auction for a lady who had passed away, and she had 11 kids.
Wow.
And the family couldn't quite sort everything out, so they brought us in there, and they got what they wanted, and then what they didn't want sold really well. And I think that was a great way to settle the estate, just because of it brings the competition in, and the family got what they wanted, and then they didn't have to worry about taking stuff to the dump.
Sure.
You know.
Oh, auctioneers are the biggest recyclers I've ever
I know,
met.
Yep.
We sell
One
stuff
man's
sometimes.
trash is another man's treasure.
That's exactly right. And we sell it over and over again. We
Yep.
might have sold it for 5 years, and all of a sudden we're at a house and there's all our lot stickers in there. It's kind of a neat way to look at things. But Now, are you also in college and doing things like that?
I am in college right now. I'm attending Wayne State. I will be a junior, and I'm double majoring in ag business and in economics.
Now, the National Auctioneers Association has just teamed up with the Future Farmers of America. Do you know a little bit about that program? Can you speak to that?
I actually, I just heard about it. I don't really know too in depth about it, but I know there's partnering with it, and I think there's some scholarships that they might be giving out or something. But that's all I don't really know.
Because I know the Nebraska bid calling this year will be.
No, that is in conjunction. Yep, the FFA chapters throughout the state are bringing items to sell at the contest, at the Nebraska Auctioneers Contest.
Great.
And the proceeds from that will be going back to those FFA chapters.
Well, that's really nice, and I think that's in November, isn't it?
That is, yep,
watch
this
your
November.
Papers,
Yep.
folks. November of this year.
Yep.
So, along with your education, and you have your double degree you're working on, are there any things in the auction industry that are offered out there that you'd like to get some continuing ed for to maybe sharpen skills in other areas? You know,
the National Auctioneers Association has a number of educational programs. I've contemplated the idea of CAI, Certified Auctioneer Institute, and then there's a whole bunch of BAS, Benefit Auction Specialist. Is that correct?
Yes.
I mean, I think it would be a good tool to have in my tool belt.
Absolutely.
You know, an auctioneer is kind of a handyman of all trades.
Sure.
We wear different hats, whether it be selling livestock, selling cars, or household estate kind of deal. You
right.
know? You kind of have to have tools for different situations.
Absolutely. So you guys, I know that I was lucky enough to be called up into your area by someone to take a look at an estate that they had. And I was glad that they had already hired you guys. So my opinion was just to stay the course. But you had gone in, and did you do several different types of auctions for those people?
Yeah, we like a lot of some of the smaller stuff, and we would pull it off and maybe put it on the online or simulcast auction.
Okay.
And I think that that's an important piece in the changing auction industry, is the advancement of the online auctions. And I'm sure, as you can say too, that it's a changing profession, and we want to make the sellers happy and earn the top dollar for what they have.
So when I call Miller Hymas Kramer, I am looking for a complete solution. Do you offer the whole solution? Do you clean? And
Yep. This past Tuesday, we had a small estate auction, and we cleaned it and hauled it out and sold it, and all in one day.
A real estate as well?
I do not have my real estate license. Roger Jansen and Elton Hymas have their real estate license, so yep, they can do that.
So you guys can do the whole thing. They just one-stop call for your area. That's great.
Yep.
Now, have you been to NAA? You've been to NAA, the
Yep.
National Auctioneers
Yep.
Convention, things like that. What does that do for an auctioneer, do you think?
You know, I think it gives you a sense of professionalism, because there's, I think it sets you apart from another auctioneer, just because of the education, the camaraderie that is there. You know, auctioneers, like, technically we're competitors, but we're great friends. I mean, that's relationships are just built between there, and it's really a great thing.
You know, it's much easier to work together than to,
That's right.
you know, to put each other down. And,
Yep.
and auctioneers, I have found, as a whole, don't necessarily pick on each other so much as they just, you know, it's all about support, because somebody who asks me about another company may be the one who's going to hire my company next time because I handled it the right way.
That's right.
That's
Yep.
right. So now you were at the car auction today. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I was working as a ringman for Mannheim, Omaha.
Nice.
I was just a fill-in guy. Somebody was gone, so I usually fill in down there. So yeah, it's a great time. It's a completely different atmosphere than what I'm used to, but I really enjoy it.
Yes, it is. How many lanes? Kind of give us an idea of what it's like in there. How many lanes? How many cars are they selling at the time?
So there's there was 6 lanes going at a time, so that's 6 different auction lanes, and each lane had probably around 100, 150 cars, and that took, my lane had 159, and we were done in about an hour 30.
That is amazing. So not even 1 minute per car.
Nope, it's fast.
And that is a dealer auction.
That's a deal. Yep, you have to be a dealer to be in there. Yep.
So if you went to, there's other types of auctions
There's
in town
there's some public
that are for the public.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So do they go a little slower for those?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, I haven't been there, but
Yeah.
the dealer one's pretty fast paced.
Yeah, that's awesome. So do you help auctioneers in Nebraska? Are you a contract auctioneer?
Yep, I am a contract auctioneer as well. This next weekend, I'm helping Russ Morbeck out
Nice.
on down by Richland, Nebraska. I help Nitz's a lot.
Great.
And
Great companies.
Yep, great people, and I've worked at the Nelson Exotic Animal Auction.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
As an auctioneer?
as an
or a
auctioneer,
bid
yep.
Spotter.
Auctioneer. Yep, that's
Now-
a little different.
So you're selling exotic animals. What are you selling? Donkeys, llamas?
You know, I sold in like a bunch of birds, like chickens, turkeys, and then some of the smaller animals. I even sold an albino wallaby.
Oh, that's interesting.
Now that's a memory. see, auctioneers
memorable.
have
Absolutely.
things that just stick in their mind. That
Yeah.
of
So how
something
many
that they
years
sold.
have you been doing that auction, the exotic
Just
auction?
that was just this past year.
That's the first time?
Yep.
Because I think there were some other auctioneers from Nebraska doing that as well, and
think
they
so.
introduced them to the professional ringmen. Talk about a professional ringman for just a moment.
You know, I think it's very important to have a professional ringman. I think that a ringman is an extension of the auctioneer. You know, they're able to get down there and interact with the crowd, maybe just a little bit easier than the auctioneer, because the auctioneer has to stay up on the block and keep calling, whereas the ringman can get down there, talk to one person, and really convince them that they should bid
You
again.
should bid again, absolutely. If you really want it, you should bid again.
Mhm.
I know we watch a lot of the big auctions on TV. We all do, because we can't go there to all of them
Yeah.
ourselves. But if there was anybody out there that you really want to work for, who would that be?
Oh, I don't know. I really like Ritchie Brothers. They seem to do. I like the equipment kind of style auctions. It'd be a nice company to work for, I think. I went to a Taylor Martin auction in South Sioux City.
Is that airplanes?
Trucks.
Tow trucks, big
Yep.
trucks, semis?
Yep, Justin Schultes works with them.
Okay,
So I witnessed that, and that was quite an operation.
yeah. Takes a lot of work.
Yeah, and the collector car auctions, man, those are just something.
Yeah.
Meekum and Barrett Jackson.
When we talk about behind the gavel, a lot of people go to the auction. It's such a great event, but I don't know that they all know the work that goes in prior to that auction happening and to make it work seamlessly. Could you walk us through a typical farm equipment or just a farm auction?
Yeah, so you know, first of all, we'll go out there and we'll meet with whoever's going to be having the auction. We'll kind of look around, tell them what we think stuff might bring, kind of give them a rough estimate, maybe an appraisal of some items, and then we'll try and work out the details of how we can get this done for them.
Does it take time? I mean, are you talking a day here? Are you talking a week?
Yeah,
Are you talking
usually
a month?
just that'll be one day usually and then they get back to us, and then if they want to go with us, then we start working on that, and we will start by taking pictures, maybe cataloging if it's going to be online.
Sure.
It seems like a lot of people have a lot of stuff, so it could be uncovering hidden treasures.
Sure.
Just yesterday, actually, we were writing up a sale for a gun dealer that passed away, and we were uncovering some of his stuff, and we found 2 Rick-Tig knives that were buried under a pile of just empty boxes.
What's a Rick-Tig knife?
A Rick-Tig knife is an aluminum-handled knife that was made in Clarkson, Nebraska, and they're actually quite valuable. They're no longer made, and they say that the steel that that Rick Tig used was able to split like a 1/4-inch piece of metal by hammering on it, and then it was still razor sharp.
Was that like a carving knife about 10 inches long?
Yeah, it's a longer
with
longer
an
knife.
aluminum looking
With an
handle?
aluminum handle, yep.
I played mumbly peg with one of those one time.
Yep, they're
Stuck it right in my shin.
Wow. I bet it was sharp.
It was sharp. It was sharp. It was.
But yep.
Okay, so you're digging things out. Now, when you set these up, are you going to rent a place? Or are you going to have the auction right there on site?
You know, it kind of depends on what the client wants or what we recommend. A lot of times, we like to use this up in Hardington, where we have a lot of our auctions. We have the Skylon Ballroom, and it's a large facility.
Sure.
And I think a lot of times it works better if stuff is spread out and people can see what they're buying, and there's ample parking there. To be able to load out stuff is pretty
Absolutely.
easy. So a lot of times we'll have an auction up there, and yeah, but it kind of just depends.
So are you taking, when you're loading all of these things up, you have a pretty big crew, you're running skid steers on a farm ground and,
Yeah,
and
on a
clearing
yep.
things? Or
Yep.
because you guys are pretty much start to finish, so kind of walk us through that too. I know the one that I looked at that you guys were already working on had a lot of piles of just metal.
Yeah, I think that took about a month to get ready.
That's a while.
You know, and it's a lot of it was just unburying stuff, and there was like a lot of equipment that was just kind of in the trees, and you had to cut the trees to get the equipment out.
That's always
And
fun.
it's a process. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that happens.
Right, they come up and it's all laid out, it's beautiful, it's all lined up, and
Yep.
you have your truck and topper, and you're just going down and selling. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about, because all of that requires a lot of labor. And sometimes
There's way more work behind that than anybody ever realizes.
And it's the people that are selling it that they don't know where to start. Maybe they're a little overwhelmed. So not only you're helping, but it takes a lot, and it takes a lot of knowledge.
It does. Yep. You have to know what you're doing, and kind of how to get it out there to get the people interested, and so that they want to buy it.
Right. So now, if you're working on tractors and you have equipment, are you changing oil and fluids?
Yeah, and then we'll put it like maybe a tractor needs a new battery, or something like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, trying to get it running, and then because a tractor that runs will bring a lot more than one that doesn't.
Absolutely, you're not kidding. And actually having decent tires on them.
That's right.
Makes a big difference too. They don't have to be new.
Yep.
They just have to be usable.
Yep. And if it's cleaned, that helps.
Yeah. So do sometimes the sellers get in and help you with it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, they do.
You know,
Okay.
if a lot of people are helpful, and they kind of want to join in and help with that. They don't necessarily, not always, but a lot of times, and we appreciate the help.
Oh,
and,
absolutely. Kind of makes it more of a team effort.
It is a team effort. Definitely a team effort.
And I think I would, where we're working sometimes in a house is a lot less space than where you might be doing an agricultural or a farm auction or something like that. So it can be a little bit different, but I think that having involvement from the seller, in a good way from the very beginning is very helpful.
Definitely. Yep.
Yeah. So do you think at some point you'll start your own auction company, or are you okay working with the team?
I enjoy working with my dad. It's kind of a family ordeal.
I enjoyed working with mine too.
I really enjoy that. He owns Creighton Livestock Market.
I know, he's a very good.
So yeah, I mean, I've
Auctioneer.
kind of toyed with the idea of maybe taking that over someday,
Oh, nice.
and then keeping the other auction industry going. Is just kind
Yeah.
of run with it.
Are there other siblings from the other partners in the auction company that are involved?
No, nope. There is one of Elton's, or a couple of Elton's daughters will clerk,
Nice.
and they're both Roger and Elton's grandchildren will help at hold stuff up and,
That's great.
and get cleans. Yep. So it's a family.
Yeah,
It's a family
auctions are
business.
family businesses, I believe. If you
Definitely.
don't have your family behind you, it's hard to make it work, because
It
in the
is.
beginning you don't get a lot of money in paychecks. You
Yep.
get a lot of hard work. Well, that's great. So tell us something that's happened that you thought was pretty funny here lately or amazed you.
I think it's kind of funny, how the auctioneer can get people to bid. Just at the last car auction, some of the stuff that the auctioneer will say to convince another bid.
Yeah.
It's neat. Like, oh, sure you would. What's one more?
Yeah.
Or you'd be all right. I think that's kind of funny, but it kind of keys into what an auctioneer is doing, and it's just kind of to increase the bid and get the top dollar.
It's a constant negotiating,
Yep.
It just makes it fun. And have you ever seen the glow on somebody's face when they're leaning on something?
Yep, and you can tell when somebody's thinking about it.
Yep.
You can tell, and that's a skill that's learned, and it just comes with the experience, and you can really tell. And I enjoy seeing that, and that's when you know that you can slow down, maybe give them a little more extra time, and see if you can get them to come back and bid.
Now you're not doing the real estate auctions right now, but is that in your future?
Yep, I am taking real estate classes this fall at Wayne State. So yep, that'll be in my future.
Now that'll be good. I think one of the best pieces of advice I got was get your real estate license.
I've got that from a lot of people.
Makes a big difference. Well, it's nice to walk out and say, yes, I can sell this, but I can also do this, and you only have one person to call.
Yep.
And I think
Definitely.
people get a lot of
confidence,
a big thing. From your ability to do that. Well, thank you so much for coming out today. Is there anything you'd like to tell the public about the auction business that they might not have ever thought of?
Yeah. So a lot of younger people, like my generation, they're very intrigued by what I do, which I think is a great thing.
Yeah.
But they don't necessarily know a whole lot about an auction. I think the storage wars and you've seen some of those stuff on TV.
Yeah, a lot.
I think that kind of piqued their interest, but there's a whole other side to the auction industry than just that. And another thing that a lot of people see is like the collector car auctions that we were talking about earlier. It's the top dollar stuff that's sold at those. And what I want to educate the public on is anything can be sold at auction.
You're absolutely right.
And I think that it's the best way to market any asset, whether it be cattle or farm equipment or firearms or just whatever an estate might have.
Absolutely.
You open up the ability for competition to compete with turn top dollar. You're going to get your market price, and an auctioneer also will give you prompt payment, which I think is an important thing.
Oh, it is. It is. I think that if you put some items on an online platform, some of the big name ones that have been out there for a long time, through the years they've increased their prices to where it's almost 50 cents on the dollar that you are selling something for that you are paying to sell that item on eBay. And with auctioneers, with a flat rate that we have, and something that I like about auctioneers is the ability to market, not just talk to the people that you come across at town and school and where you're at, but the marketing campaigns that auctioneers put together develops a competitive bid platform.
Definitely, yep.
And I think that sets us apart from all other ways to, you can put it on a buy-sell trade and hope somebody calls, but for the auction industry, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, an auctioneer is a marketer, and that's what we do, and the marketing has changed over the years. When I remember when I was little, the only kind of marketing that we used to do was either sale bills or newspaper. And both of those are kind of going by the wayside. Right. We still make a sale bill, we still put an ad in the paper, but I think that a lot of younger people are reached by our Facebook ads and our website.
Absolutely.
And by email.
Yeah.
I think that's just changing, and that's kind of just how it's going, and we need to adapt with it.
I agree.
So,
Well, Austin Kramer, thank you very much for coming in today. I can't say how happy I am to have you here. It's nice to see young blood in the auction industry and to see where it's going and to have the positive attitude that you have to continue the success that you guys have had. So thank you very much for coming out today.